The Remember Them Champions for Humanity monument will be an inspiring, larger-than-life bronze sculpture depicting 25 diverse role models who have made significant contributions toward global peace, freedom, and human rights. An innovative high school curriculum based on the 25 humanitarians has been developed with the Martin Luther King Institute at Stanford University to be used in conjunction with a field trip to the monument or the traveling exhibit. This curriculum encourages students to examine the heart and soul of these role models, helping them overcome their own challenges and become leaders, seeing hope and promise in their future.
Bravery, honor, and determination.
She received the Nobel Peace Prize in 2003.
His ability to put aside self-pity that could have easily held him back.
I think that what brings the sculpture and our liberation curriculum together is that they both deal with what I see as the most important story of the 20th century. At the beginning of the 20th century, most human beings did not have basic rights. They were either colonized or they were people who were facing intense racial discrimination. You had in the United States the Jim Crow system of segregation. In South Africa you had apartheid. And then there were these people who had a vision that the world could be a different place, that you could take on these entrenched systems of social injustice that had been around for centuries and eliminate them. You know, that was a very radical idea. I think now future generations can look back at Martin Luther King and Cesar Chavez and Nelson Mandela and all these tremendous people who took on the social justice issues of their day and taught us lessons that we need to learn in the present.
The students of Oakland have to deal with so many issues every day in their lives. They deal with violence, they deal with economic issues, and there's a great deal of uncertainty every day for them. And they don't get the role models they need currently in our educational system through the curriculum.
Okay, so let's officially get started. So welcome to class and happy Thursday. We're going to continue with our lesson on the Universal Declaration of Human Rights through the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights. On your handout it says, Opener. Yesterday we learned that human rights are the basic rights and freedoms to which all humans are entitled. From our conversations yesterday, and from your brainstorming, what do you think is the most important right all human beings in Oakland should have? So we made it local. Sometimes it's easier for us to think about our immediate surrounding. If it's easier, you can think about all human beings in the world. Write down what you think that right should be, complete sentence. And then under that it says, why is this the most important? So there's no wrong answer, it's your opinion. And you guys had a lot of good things to say yesterday.
All beings in Oakland, I think they should have the right to equality because everybody should be treated equal or deserve an equal chance at everything.
Okay, good. So they deserve an equal chance. Yasmin, I really liked yours. Could you share out with us what you said? Good. So the right to stay in the USA. Would it be okay if I wrote even if undocumented? So if you don't have those documents saying that you're a citizen, it's still okay to stay within the United States? And then what was your why? You had a good why. Okay. So work hard to get or be in the U.S. and they work hard for a better life. So good, thank you, Yasmin. Christina?
And also the right to privacy.
And why?
Because if you invade somebody's privacy, then there's no trust, and if people don't trust you, then that leads to violence.
So very good. So we have some interpersonal stuff, the issue of privacy. Can the government affect or invade your privacy? Yeah, so it can be individuals, it can be institutions.
How come when a group of white people band together for their own beliefs or whatnot, they're not considered a gang, but like when black people are bonding together for their own purpose, they're either called a mob or a gang. They doing the same thing. Why one group got to be a gang, and why one group got to be group, I guess, just a regular group. Like the KKK, and I guess I could say the Black Panthers. How some people looked at them as a mob, but all they was fighting. They was fighting for good beliefs. But with the KKK, they just fighting because they don't like colored people.
Reading along with me where it says directions on the bottom half of your paper. So read your article. I'm going to pass out to each of your groups a paper clipped sort of packet. You're going to find copies of an article. They're pretty much all one page. They're current events. What are current events?
Things that are occurring in today's society.
Yeah, things that are happening now, right? So if you look in the news or something that's happening now. These are all current events, and you're going to get copies of your current event article, and you're going to get strips of the articles, which you saw briefly yesterday. These are UNDHR articles. The United Nations Declaration of Human Rights, or yesterday I also referred to it as the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And what you're going to do in groups is read your article together, summarize what human rights issues are discussed in the article, then summarize the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights, UNDHR article, that is being violated. So for example, you might read an article about Oscar Grant and the trial that's going on of Oscar Grant, just to use a local example. You would describe the human rights violation that you believe is happening in the article. So you would write Article 10 because X, Y, and Z, or Article 11 because X, Y, and Z. Where is this taking place? You'd write Oakland, California. Whose rights are being violated by this? What would you guys say? Whose rights were violated in the Oscar Grant situation? Oscar Grant III, right? So his rights. You would write at least Oscar Grant III if you included his family, if you included the other people who are with him, if you included the community, because it has bigger implications, right? You would write that BART riders, people who ride BART. So you'd write who's affected, who is the oppressor in this situation. Now, oppressor is a word we haven't gone over before. To make it very simplistic, there's the oppressed, and then there's the oppressor, right? So, say it louder. So in this situation, you might write, it might be the police officer. So I'm going to write it here. We have oppressed sort of versus the oppressor with the O-R-E-D. So in this case, and that's a very simple way of putting it sort of versus. In this case, the oppressed might be whom? Oscar Grant III. The oppressor might be whom? The police officer. So the oppressed is the one who sort of, you can think the victim or being held down, oppressed. The oppressor is the one doing the action. So who is the oppressor in your article? And then name and describe the UNDHR article that addresses this human right violation. I'm going to be here to help you. Ms. Bowman's also here to help you. You're going to have about 15 minutes.
Oh, wait, go ahead.
It's not just the economy, it's a human rights
Crisis. Do you know what a crisis is? What's a crisis?
So you guys.
Oh, it's
Do you know what?
it's like a
I'm in crisis. I don't have a prom dress. What's crisis mean?
like problem.
Problem. It's like a big problem. So it's a human rights problem. So that's what crisis means. Go ahead, Yasmin.
In September 2008.
Can you speak up a little bit?
In September 2008, I was in New York to attend the UN high-level meeting on the Millennium Development Goals, MDGs. The internationally agreed targets to reduce poverty by 2015.
Let's pause there. What is it? Let's pause there. What does it mean to reduce poverty?
Like to get kind of like rid of poverty.
Kind of get rid of poverty, exactly. So would you guys agree that poverty is a big issue in Oakland and in the world? So one of the goals of the United Nations is to kind of limit poverty. Keep going.
Delegate after delegate talked about the need of more funds to
eradicate, which means to get rid of. Eradicate. Yep. Dignity. You guys remember from yesterday what dignity means? Ms. Ghatela just talked about it a little bit ago.
Self-esteem.
Self-esteem. What else does it mean, Kwame? That's a really good one. Self-esteem. What else? If you have dignity, what do you have? How do you carry yourself?
Like
you got it. Keep going. Those are both. So self-esteem, Kwame said. What's another word that's like self-esteem? Make it through the P. I am positive. I am also proud. Good. Okay. So, do people who are living in poverty, do they have dignity? Is that being taken away from them? Okay. So keep going. By the end of 2008, it was clear that our two-tier world of deprivation and gluttony, the impoverishment of many to satisfy the greed of a few, was collapsing into a deep hole. This is kind of a complicated sentence. Do you guys know what it means?
No.
Let's break it down. What does two-tier mean? What does two-tier mean? If we have a two-tier cake, it means there are two levels of the cake, right?
2 layers.
2 layers, yeah. So on the top, we have the really, really wealthy people, right? And on the bottom, we have who?
Destitution.
What's an destitution? What's an eviction? Kwame, do you know what an eviction is?
Eviction?
Yeah, when you get evicted.
Yeah, when you have to leave.
Yeah, when you get kicked out of your home, right? So we've read about half of it. Let's look at the worksheet. What are the things that right here we need to figure out? Can you read, Kwame, could you read the first question for us? Name and describe.
The human rights violations described in your article.
So according to this article, Article 25, what should people all have?
Like food, clothing, housing, social services.
What's an example of a social service? What about school? Is school a social service?
Yeah.
Do we get provided with school by the government? Okay, so
that's
one. So
like
jobs, employment. What else? Medi-Cal, Medicare, the clinic. Is that a social service? Yeah. So does everybody in the world have these things? Do we all have food?
Yeah.
No.
Well, no.
Not the homeless people that don't have anywhere to go or don't have any money.
So what else? Does everybody have housing?
No way. Some people live with people, like,
When we walk down to E14, we see homeless people. Yeah. What about security? Do you guys always feel secure when you walk out of your homes at night?
No way.
No? Why not? What's preventing you from being secure?
Like the environment you're around. Like, when you walk out, like say you live somewhere where it's like a lot going on. I live somewhere where a lot is going on. So I don't really feel too safe. I feel okay.
Yeah. So let's look at the first question. So what is being violated in the world today? What are some things that we read about? Let's look at the middle of the paragraph the teacher read. She said, people are desperately trying to drag themselves out of poverty.
So like people are trying to they're trying to get somewhere, they're trying to get a way to get food and somewhere to live.
Yeah, and what's happening to the prices of food? They're going up. Okay, so they're skyrocketing. They're going way up. So name and describe the human rights violations in your article. So what are some of the things you just read about?
The food.
Okay, food prices are going up.
Up? Yeah.
So does this mean a lot of people are right here? It's kind of funny.
I know.
It's the shape of the worksheet. So if food prices are going up, can everyone afford to eat, feed their kids?
No.
So does everybody have access to the right to have food?
No.
Okay, great. Write that down. So people are getting evicted. So if people are getting evicted, do they actually have housing?
No.
They're being denied that right. That right is being violated. What about this? Where is this taking place? Does it talk about some specific places in the article?
Around the world.
Like
Around the world, yeah. So whose rights are being violated?
Everybody.
Everybody, especially who?
Us.
Okay, why'd you say us? Who? Remember when Christine was talking kind of about power and authority?
Oh, like poor people.
Poor people.
Because they said in here, they said the poor who suffer the worst consequences.
Always, it's the poor who suffer the worst, right?
What is Prop 8 about?
It's about gay people and their rights. Like, they want to be treated equally. Say, like, they going against what the Bible's saying about it was Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. They want to go against that, and a lot of people think that's wrong. But the people that's gay and whatnot, they basically what they saying is to hell with what society think. I want to do me, and this the life I choose, so this the life they gonna do. This how they gonna take it, accept it or reject it.
Okay, so I can tell from what you said that you're probably against same-sex marriage. So, but just to clarify, which is fine. I mean, I'm not here to talk about that. But to first talk about Prop 8, from your prior knowledge, you know that's related to the gay and lesbian community, right? And then right to what, like?
To and get married.
So right to get married. So what I would like you guys to do is start reading. So the article's from when?
It's from the 27th.
Which was yesterday, yeah. So Chronicle, San Francisco Chronicle, and it's really focusing on California, what happened yesterday. Let what come back? Same-sex marriage. Actually, the opposite.
I thought they said they couldn't marry or something.
Yeah, it's been kind of complicated the last year, couple years. First,
we just write about how we feel on it, because honestly, I don't care. Just as long as they stay their distance from me, and they don't bring that around me, I have no problem with it. Like, I know I got a couple family members that's like that, but I guess I just don't. I've heard of them. I ain't never like actually conversated with them. I just heard of them. Like my mom told me, "Oh, you got a gay uncle and a gay auntie." Okay, I never seen it. But I'm saying like any regular person, say somebody walk up to me on the street and they gay, and then you know they trying to talk to me or something. Like, don't say something like, "No, man, you gotta go the other way."
So let's walk through the article and the articles. The article. So this and this, and then you have also time and space to share your opinion. But so let me just come back to this $85 million for Prop 8. So that means people who are anti same-sex marriage. That was an $85 million campaign to push Prop 8. Remember, Prop 8 said no to same-sex marriage. So they had a lot of money, a lot of funding for that. You know what I mean? Advertisements, speakers, flyers, mailers, people calling. Remember to vote no on Prop 8, no on same-sex marriage. So $85 million towards that.
It shouldn't have been a problem if they would just mind their business, as long as
Who's they?
The anti-gay people.
Okay. Okay, good. So I see where you're going with that. So if they minded their own business, then what does it matter what the other communities
it don't matter what other people doing. Like what I said with the letter I got in the mail about my yard. What is it? The anonymous caller business about how my yard is set up.
Because it's not their yard and they don't use it. It's yours, right? So what do you think? Do you think that for gay and lesbian same-sex couples, their right is being violated if it's their business? And again, I'm not trying to change your opinion. You can have whatever you want. But in terms of this handout, do you think their right is being violated?
Yeah, the right that's being violated is the man's rights.
So some people who are pro Prop 8, who are anti same-sex marriage, they'll say, well, you got your rights. You can have a domestic partnership, so why do you need marriage? Why
not have a marriage? It's what two people want to do, why can't they do it?
Well, it's just a word. I mean, if you're talking about rights, you got your rights.
But with a marriage, ain't that 2 rings? But with a domestic relationship or whatever, domestic partner, that's not 2 rings, that's not legit.
So it's different, right? I mean, there's connotations that come with marriage, it's a different, there's something with that word, right? And then also just to deny it, like, well, why do I have the power to deny if you can get married or not married, right? Do you see how I flipped? It took you from point A to like point B. So marriage rights for same-sex I'll be there in 1 second. Where is this taking place?
In California.
Whose rights are being violated?
Gay and lesbian.
Or same-sex couples, good. And who is the oppressor?
The government.
Okay. And via, if you're to use the article, via what? Like the police or via the governor? But who made the voters? Okay, voters, California voters. And who made this decision from 2 days ago?
The governor.
So just to go back up the reading, who made the decision from a couple of days ago?
The judge.
The judge. So courts, right? Supreme Court.
Hey, but so what they say that people can get married now?
No, can't.
They still can't. Tell you, it's like a concentration camp, man.
And so, you know, if you look at history, then eventually, even though there's pushback right now, eventually it might switch to same-sex marriage being allowed. And California leads the nation. Usually what happens in California affects the rest of the nation. So if we can push it more and if we like help out with the campaigns and stuff. So if there were to be a ballot, if you guys could vote next fall and there was, or in the next election and there was a ballot that said same-sex marriage could happen, would you vote yes or no? Or not vote? Because technically, so what I'm saying is suggesting is that perhaps on the next election, next proposition, California voters could push to have that on there, and if everyone voted yes, then it would change the law. So good. I like that you guys have the stuff to say when we share out. I hope that you share this. For the last part, just so you make sure you get this part, it says name and describe the UNDHR article being discussed. So you have this article here. So name it. So it's article what? 16. So article 16. And then in your own words, so regurgitating this back to me, what are the 3 things it's saying about marriage? Quietly, we can go over the directions. So on your poster, you're going to capture about 3 things. What is your article about? The current event article, and whose rights are being violated, and what rights are being violated. So what articles from the little slips of paper? Article 25, Article 9, Article 11, and you're going to capture that on your poster because your peer mates are going to walk around and look at your poster. You want
the Baha'i got arrested because of their religion.
Let me get 2 volunteers to share out what was the article about and what surprised you, or what was your article about. 2 volunteers. So what is the article about?
It's about oppression and the rights of Iranians.
Okay. Of the Baha'i religion, are their rights to practice their religion being respected?
Yes.
Yes?
But they're being oppressed.
They're being oppressed by who?
The Iranian government does not want them to study their religion.
Okay, so the oppressor is the Iranian government?
Yes.
And what article of the UNDHR is being violated? Article number
18.
18, which says that people should have the right to practice their religion. Okay, good. Advice I'd give to other teachers teaching the unit, I think naturally as teachers we adapt curriculum to our students. So for me, there's a lot of things I think about, including like reading level of the students, like looking for the articles. It's not just a matter of finding and printing them, but the ability for our students to access the language. If it's something intimidating or if they don't feel they can access it, students can shut down and that changes the direction of a lesson. For teachers, I would say obviously know your students and adapt your lesson to the students and to bring in something that, or at least to start off the class with something that's local or something that they know of. So I use like Oscar Grant, or they actually brought up Oscar Grant. And I think that can be powerful because oftentimes students are very intelligent, knowledgeable historians themselves, and to allow them to express that in the beginning of a class gives some power to the lesson. I also think students are very knowledgeable about humanity and human rights, and allowing them to connect with, for example, what human rights do you think all people should have? You can hear from what they talk about, they think very locally. So they talk about their experiences here in Oakland, for example. So I think teachers allowing that to happen, especially in the beginning of the class, sets a good foundation for them to then travel to other places in the world where violations might be happening, or other groups they might not identify with, whose rights are being violated, there's an empathy that can grow from that. So I think allowing the students to kind of push the lesson itself, you know, and ask those questions and stuff. Because some of the questions brought up today were really deep questions that should be brought up in a classroom. In terms of providing current event articles for them, where they would engage and then have to see if the UNDHR article is violated, I like that part. It also exposed them to current events that are happening, and it also allowed a lot of them to bring in prior knowledge that they had about these current events and sort of affirm it in a classroom setting. I felt the material was very relevant to my students in talking about human rights. So one group, when we were looking at Proposition 8, he knew right away what Proposition 8 was, and without reading the article, he was talking about, you know, he didn't believe in same-sex marriage, and you know, it changes the institution of marriage, and bringing like his personal opinion, which is fine. But through the discussion, by the end, he sort of came. By the end, he was saying they should have the right to get married, and who is it for one to deny to another person if they get married or not? So I think the activity was able to not only connect to his prior knowledge and something, he brought up his family and having family members that were gay or lesbian. So he's able to connect it personally, connect it to his beliefs, connect it to family, but then also transform his ideas. And I think the transformation happened when he read the UNDHR article. So it wasn't really through me telling him or asking sort of questions. It was after he read that, like, it shifted, because he heard himself saying, like, yes, people should have the right to marry regardless of X, Y, and Z.
The first time I saw the monument, it was an overwhelming sense of inspiration that I got just being in the presence of it. Researching historical figures in this way is very different for me, because in the past, in other regular, as one would call it, history classes, you're reading from a book, taking notes, then there's a test. This project is really pushing me to understand who this person actually was, how they think.
Studying about these humanitarians, I realized that I'm not much different from who they are, and I can be in their shoes, because they're all not perfect people. They still made a difference in people's lives. I just know that I can do what they did.
And so we need to know our history. We need to pass it on. It is now time that we get history right. It's not right. It's not being taught in schools the way that it happened. Our history books are not right. We have to rely on projects like these so that we make sure that those kids, the next generation, that they want to strive to be exactly like these people. I am so extremely proud to be a part of this and to be alive to see it. And this needs to be the beginning, because all of us as educators, we need to make sure that the stories are right, that the curriculum is right, that we start to publish books to support this story so that we now make history again, but we make it right.
We need to tell people of this generation and future generations that the world was changed for the better by these individuals who took risks and sacrificed and had a vision for how to make the world better. So I look upon all of this as part of an effort to tell the story right, so that future generations will themselves be inspired. That's a tremendous message, and I think that message needs to be conveyed through sculpture, through film, through educational programs for students. There's so many different ways we can tell the story. We need to tell the story, because that, to me, what could be more important than that story? The story of how the majority of human beings gain their freedom.